How are all of our Raven fans and Oriole fans doing today? So we are going ahead and we're going to go ahead and get squared away this week. This is Ravery Sports Mainstream, and this is Charles, the owner of Ravery Sports. So definitely check us out on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, where we go ahead and we show our mainstream. We have a lot of good information on Twitter. Do a lot of retweeting on Twitter. Also to TikTok. It's probably our highest viewership. A lot of people watch us on TikTok there. Also to LinkedIn. So that's more the business side, but there are some of our videos on there as well, along with Instagram, where we have videos as well. So thank you very much for watching us this week. Also to more business at the bottom of the screen. ravorisports at gmail.com. If you are interested in that, the website is so close to being done. So we're gonna have it is so close. I've had a good time this week getting the website ready and everything. It has been an outstanding experience to go ahead and get that taken care of. So also too as well, my daughter tried to do the video there, as usual. Uh, uh, it's been an outstanding experience as well. Also, to Genesis Notary Services, you can book a session with me if you are looking for some notary services all over the Shenandoah Valley. That's if you're in Virginia in the Shenandoah Valley. We'll get that squared away for you. All right, outstanding. Let's get down to the business of the NFL. So let's go ahead and get this screen up here. We just had Steelers week. Ooh, that is right, the Steelers. So we got the Ravens. You see the score there, 16-14. The Ravens were go ahead, got a close victory there. We went ahead and the Ravens got a close victory. Go ahead, pull that graphic up. There we go. So Ravens over the Steelers. This game was pretty much as I expected. It's pretty much as I thought it would be. Ravens were basically a little bit better than the Steelers were. I thought the Ravens had better, much better discipline in this game. I thought Tyler Huntley played within himself very well. I thought Tyler Huntley did a very good job managing the game. He's not Lamar Jackson. I keep hearing that. He's not Lamar Jackson. Not even close. But the skill set is similar to a lot of things Lamar does, which is, you don't have to go in and change the offense. You're not putting like Joe Flacco in there or anything like that. You're putting a guy in where you're running the same plays, works well for the rest of those guys in there. So let's take a look at it. He did go out of the game with a concussion. Most likely he will start in the next game against Cleveland. But he was injured in this one with a concussion. Anthony Brown came in 3 of 5, 16 yards. Passing, it's a big drop off for Anthony Brown. So we're really hoping Huntley plays. It doesn't look like Lamar is going to play this week. Just kind of reading the tea leaves, what Harbaugh said. I think it'll be another week before Lamar. Schefter came out and said it'll be another week. Adam Schefter from ESPN said it'll be another week. So we're just kind of reading the tea leaves there. I thought they did enough we to do, especially with a run game like they had. This is the best running performance of the season that they had from the running backs. JK looked like a bell cow in this one. I'm more of a bell cow guy. I like to use one guy that's not Harbaugh's philosophy. Rotate. Both guys were really good. JK, 15 carries, 120, 1 TD. Gus Edwards was great. This is exactly what it's supposed to look like on Sunday in the run game. J.K. Dobbins, shifty out of the backfield, big plays, go downfield. get the big plays of yards. Edwards between the tackles, bang out the tough yards, wear out the defense. Pittsburgh could not stop the run, even with the third stringer in there. Brown, they were getting whatever they wanted on the ground. Very dominant. Not a lot in the air, but I think these are your two best receivers. Demarcus Robinson, 5 carries, 5 catches rather, 52 yards. Deshaun Jackson, says carry, but I should say receptions. 2 receptions, 34 yards. I think these are your two best receivers. Deshaun looks older. Frankly, I think they're kind of got him on a pitch count intentionally. They're going to use him in spots, but I think he's better than the rest of the receivers. Demarcus Robinson is the best receiver of this group. Duvernay, Prochet, they've totally disappeared. I mean, Prochet, you could argue he never appeared, even on punt returns. I don't know if he's injured or something, but they've gotten like a 0 from Devin Duvernay. These guys have had stepped up. Defensively, talk about all three of these guys. Roquan Smith was sensational to say the least. He had the one interception. He had a sack. He had lost. He was tremendous. This guy, they cannot run the ball, whoever they is, going against the Ravens all year long. With Roquan and Patrick Queen in there, who also got an INT in this one. So Patrick Queen has been very good as well. Look, Patrick Queen got off the field injured in the last game. So, and he played. A lot of toughness he showed. Patrick Queen, there's a lot of apologies people are starting to make to Patrick Queen the way he's looked the last few weeks. Marcus Williams, I think he got an easy interception. Having him in the lineup with these guys, man, oh man, Marcus Williams, he is very underrated as a free safety. I'm surprised national media hasn't caught on to him more. His ability, he's outstanding center field free safety. Only negative I thought on defense with the corners. I thought Humphrey was probably the worst game I've seen him, and Marcus, that wasn't his best day either. Marcus Peters. He gets like that at times where his emotions get the best of him. That's what it looked like. He kind of was arguing with the refs and stuff like that. But I thought the defense has been getting steadily better. Went to a liability almost the first few weeks, giving up the plays in Miami, 300 yards first few weeks, to now like you can't run on them. And the pass defense has gotten a lot better as well. So shout out to the defense. Oh, Maserati Mitch Trubisky is what Harold Riddick used to call him. Maserati Mitch, one interception. I'm sorry, one TD rather, 3 picks, 22 for 36. This guy's not the guy. I mean, he drove the ball down the field fairly well. I mean, 276 came from what I'm seeing. It's one of those deals like in between the 20s, he did just fine. Then as soon as they got in the red zone, they had figured him out and they were taking the ball away. Kenny Pickett was hurt with a concussion. He got knocked out as well early when the concussion protocol kind of wobbled off the field, and it showed. I think that was probably the difference of the game. Had he played, I think they may have won. Because I think Trubisky's mistakes really contributed to the loss for Pittsburgh. Najee Harris, 12 carries, 33 yards, 1 TD. He hit the 1 TD. Like I previously stated, teams can't run against the Ravens. Run defense is very, very good. Also, too, the linebackers are very good. Defensive line, really strong as well. Every week you're seeing Broderick Washington, Justin Matabuke. We know about Calais Campbell. Travis Jones now is starting. Looks like right off the bat in games consistently. So shout out to those guys. Good defensive effort. Deontay Johnson gave Marcus Peters the blues in this one. I think both of their receivers, they have good receivers, Pittsburgh. Deontay Johnson and and George Pickens, I thought gave both corners trouble. I think the only problem I have with it, they're not consistent enough. They're, Deontay Johnson, a little finicky with his hands at times, even though he gets good receptions. And George Pickens is a little temperamental, got a little Marcus Peters in him. But they have some receiving talent there. They're very good. They're what the Ravens aspire to be. They're very good at drafting receivers outside the first round and making them solid contributors. Yeah. So that's uh, they're very good at that. T.J. Watt. Um, he didn't look like the same T.J. Watt I've been seeing. The T.J. Watt throughout the years has been super dominant. He had the one sack, but they contained him, I think, like more than they used to in this game. I think he's still kind of working his way back. So he was still really good. I mean, don't get it twisted. I think the defense is is still kind of a work in progress. It's kind of like I thought. Fitzpatrick was good. Cam Hayward was good. Uh, Courtland Sutton was good. And then you kind of like mix and matches at other parts. I really like to see when they play again what Lamar can do against this defense. Uh, because the Ravens offensive line really controlled, and defensive line, basically the line scrimmage were controlled by the Ravens. So it is always so good to get Steeler victories. There's nothing more annoying than Steeler fans and seeing those ugly, ugly, terrible towels anywhere. It is fantastic to get a win over Pittsburgh. I don't care what their record is and what their situation is. So congratulations, go Ravens beating the Steelers. Absolutely. All right. So we have another game this week. So because of the victory, the Ravens are 9-4, and they're going against the Browns, who are 5-8. So the Cleveland Browns are used to be they are currently the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, as we know, moved from Cleveland to Baltimore years ago in '96. Art Modell took the team and moved from Cleveland Old Municipal Stadium to Memorial Stadium, and then they changed the name when they got here, the Baltimore Ravens. And this rivalry, believe it or not, years hasn't been as strong as I thought it would be, because it's obviously a natural rivalry because of what happened. But the Browns, for the most part, haven't been strong enough team to be a rival. Uh, that may change throughout the years. But I think the Browns are a team that we need to worry about because, hey, look, they're all important now. We're in a week. We've had 13 games at this point, so we've got 4 more regular season to go in playoffs. What do the Browns look like? Deshaun Watson. Here's a guy who sat out 700 plus days because of legal issues, because of 700 plus days, because of legal issues, because of issues with his former team, etc. Now he's in there. And the Browns have paid him, I think, the highest guaranteed contract in the league. Probably the sticking point to why Lamar doesn't have a contract. Because nobody has a contract like Deshaun Watson. I won't go too far in the weeds on that. I think the Browns might have done the right thing regardless if they want a good player, because you're not a good team. So when you're not a good team, you need to overpay to get better. That's essentially what they did. But Deshaun's off to like 1-2 start. He looked a lot better last week. I think he's going to have to take some time and work his way back. I think the more he plays, the more he'll look like Deshaun Watson. I'm pretty sure next season that'll be the case. I think they're just using these last 4 games to get him rolling again. He's going to be your starter for the next several years. Nick Chubb used to be more of a committee. Now it's mostly we talk about him and Kareem Hunt. It's Nick Chubb. Look at that, almost 1,200 yards rushing, 12 TDs, 217 carries, outstanding for Nick Chubb, considering even with the quarterbacking that's there. Uh, I will say this: Nick Chubb is doing well in spite of no matter what's around him. This will be a true test of the Ravens' run defense because I don't think it gets better than Nick Chubb and entirely maybe Derrick Henry. So teams have not been able to run the ball on them. This will be a big statement if you can go ahead and stop Nick Chubb from running the ball. Amari Cooper, looks like Amari Cooper like numbers: 61 receptions, 832 yards, 7 TDs. Been solid enough. I think that's been his whole career. To use a comp, I kind of want to say Rod Smith for him. Uh, Not playing exactly like Rod Smith used to the Denver Broncos, but consistent. Consistent enough. Not in that elite category, definitely number one, but just like a notch below. You know, that's what Amari Cooper is. So we're gonna go ahead and see one of the best receivers in the division when you're looking at Amari Cooper, big physical receiver. Miles Garrett, 10 sacks, double digits already. So we still have games left. This is the straw that stirs the drink for them. The defensive guy, even the Ravens' offensive line, gonna need Ronnie Stanley to play well in this one. That's exactly what I would do. I'd have Ronnie Stanley on him as much as possible because this guy is an outstanding defensive talent, uh, traditional pass rusher. You see a lot of the pass rushers in the league are more like the hybrid types, the Hassan Riddicks, the outside linebacker. This is a hand in the ground, push you over pass rusher. And he does it you have to put two guys on him to contain him. Ravens side, let's take a look. Tyler Huntley. Oh, let's take a look at that. Tyler Huntley and Anthony Brown. I've not seen the presser this week. I don't know what Huntley's status is. I'm pretty sure they want to play Tyler Huntley. I think we're another week away from Lamar. I don't think it'll be Lamar this week. I think you're looking at him the following week. It's a big difference between Anthony Brown and Tyler Huntley. Uh, so I'm really hoping that they think that Tyler Huntley can play. He should be able to play based on everything I've seen here so far. But once we get the practice reports, we'll know. It definitely be one of these two. It's going to be key if you're going to play Deshaun Watson too. You can't run every play. The Browns, I think, have too good of a defense for that. Uh, we talked about Amari Cooper. They have a good defense. They have some good offensive talent. These guys are going to have to do better than what we saw last week. I don't think I've ever seen Marlon Humphrey rather play such a bad game. Even he said it after the game. Even he said, "I was never that good." I don't think there's a lot to worry about. I think they'll definitely be motivated to play better. So Marlon definitely has to go ahead and step up and get that squared away. Ravens, I think, win this game. Uh, they're gonna for sure play similar to what they did last week, especially if you're not going to have Lamar. You're going to see a lot of running the ball. Defensive has really stepped up. Um, this defense has really gotten better over the course of the season. So shout out to that. And I think you're gonna run the ball here. I think they win the game by about 10, 15 points. I will say the wild card is Deshaun. How far along has he come? I think he's still coming along, but if he could look more like that, um, Cleveland's not going to have this bad record for too long. You're gonna need more points if you're actually going to play the Browns. So there you go. So definitely check out the games this week. And so we're definitely going to have a game Saturday afternoon. Keep that in mind. Games on Saturday, not Sunday. So it's Saturday, I believe it's about 4:30, the game. So definitely go ahead and check out the game on Saturday. All right. So let's definitely take a look at this. The Army Navy game. The Black Knights, Cadets, Army, as they are called, as they are in Officer School in West Point, New York, and the Navy Midshipmen, as they're all called, in the Annapolis, Maryland Naval Academy there for those officers and those young men. Shout out to those young men. This game was outstanding. If you're into arena football where it's 67 to 65 and there are and the football is bouncing off the plexiglass, or CFL where you got 120 yards. This one wasn't for you. There were 3 completed passes in this whole game. Everything was on the ground. It was fantastic stuff. Double overtime. uh, Army goes ahead and wins this game uh, in double overtime after a well played game on both sides. Uh, I thought uh, Navy, look at that. 1 for 1, 1 completed pass, 25 yards, 28 carries, 102 yards. Yes, that's the QB. Ran it 28 times. And pretty much he went most of the way at QB in this one. So that was what happened there. I thought Navy was game very similar to these two teams. The other side, Army, Cade Ballard. This was more of a rotation. 2 for 10, 28 yards. He did have some rushing yards. When he ran the ball, they used Tyler Towler. He had 30. He had 22 carries for 62 yards. Uh, Both teams hit each other in the mouth in this one. This is exactly what you'd like to see in football. 2 teams physically hitting each other, running the ball. Um, Also, to run the ball, these 2 teams. One, when you watch triple option, it's not one run up the middle or a series of plays or anything. I mean, you see all type of stuff, all type of runs, running backs, quarterbacks, uh, the fullback, the wingback, the wide. I mean, you see all type. It was fantastic to actually watch. So, uh, Army wins 2017. Go Army. They were fantastic in this one. This game is also going to rotate the next several years. So this game, for many years, it was in Philly. It was in Veterans Stadium. So that's basically half the way between the 2 schools. Like if that's like the midway point uh, between the 2 schools. Like similarity, like City Poly was this year. Like Johns Hopkins, you're about exactly in the middle between the 2 schools. That's what it is. They're rotating around. Washington and Baltimore are going to be 2 next year. I think the game is going to be in Gillette Stadium in New England. So definitely check that out. If you gotta go to an Army Navy game if you've never been. News came after the game. Longtime coach, and I'm just going to call him Coach Ken. I'm not going to pronounce the last name. I've always tried to pronounce the last name. After several years there, he was the all-time winningest coach in school history. I think he was let go by the team. So let go by the school rather. Um, a little surprising, in my opinion. I said because he had been there for so long, he had struggled a little bit more in recent years, but a long track record of success he had there in Navy. In my opinion, these are by far the hardest D1 schools to. Well, they don't. I keep saying D1. It's not Division One. It's FBS. That's the correct term. Uh, uh, that's the correct term. And because it's so difficult to get these guys to come with this type of obligation, and they can't redshirt some of these schools, and so they do a great job. He'll definitely find a job if he wants one. I believe after the job he did in Navy, maybe greatest coach in Navy history. So, but unfortunately, he was let go right after the game. So, Navy, I think, is still looking for a coach. All right. So, shout out there to both schools, the Army and the Navy. Outstanding, fantastic game, fantastic game. All right. So here we go. We're going to go to our larger NFL content, the Big Five. And we went over the five biggest games last week that were not on the schedule. Had a good week, 4-1. I think that's right. And they were 39-31 for the year. Tampa was the only team that really didn't do well out of those teams. They got beat up by San Fran. Uh, Pretty much as we expected. I thought the Chargers would win, and they did. Chargers have a lot of talent, uh, considering the record. They just got to be more consistent throughout the year. So, good win for the Chargers last week. All right, so let's start here. The 49ers. So, if you look at this game, at some point, the 49ers now on their third quarterback, Brock Purdy, against Geno Smith and the Seahawks. Seahawks, after a good start, have kind of come back to earth, in my opinion, a bit. But they're still possibly fighting here. This game is pretty much for first place in the division. And the Seahawks have a definitely good chance to get the 12s out. That's what they call the Seattle fans. And go ahead and get a win. It's so hard to predict with San Fran because we don't know how good their quarterback is. I say, to me, he looks fine. For a third stringer, I mean, he definitely looked better than Anthony Brown. I mean, so they definitely may have something. I don't know how far you get with him. We say that, but the NFC quarterback situations, a lot of these teams, is not good. Not good. Geno Smith on the other side, probably in the playoffs. Daniel Jones. So how you ask yourself that question: how far away is that? The rest of the Niners roster is fantastic. Even though they lost Deebo Samuel, I think it looked like for a period of time, so they may not have him. So that's going to hurt them as well. But can the Niners sustain their attrition? I think they win this game. Better team, I think, than the Seahawks. Dolphins. Another team may be coming back to earth a bit, scuffling a little bit after the great start playing against Buffalo. The Bills. Uh, Bills, I think, have been solid all year. There was some talk about, maybe they're not doing it. Bills are really good. We know they're really good. Uh, Josh Allen has been fantastic. They're running the ball more. I think that is different. I think they are using Devin Singletary. I think Devin Singletary is pretty bad. We know about those outstanding receivers that they have. And their defense is top flight as well. I think they're playing to it differently, and it looks different. I don't know if they figured him out, but he struggled a little bit last week. He struggled a little bit. Uh, More interceptions the last 2 weeks. So I like Buffalo in this game. Plus the obvious, Miami playing Buffalo in December. Buffalo. Pretty hard to win there if you're a Miami. Here are two teams in the warm weather. The Titans, one of the better teams in the league, and also the Chargers, one of the most talented rosters. So Chargers were successful in beating Miami last week. I thought Miami didn't play well. I thought the Chargers did well. Justin Herbert is always a joy to watch. He just is. Throws the ball fantastic. If you're going to film a movie and somebody throwing football, that's just who I want. Justin Herbert, whatever that's worth. Austin Eckler's having an outstanding season. The receivers are outstanding when you keep them in the lineup. I think defensively they have some pieces that have been a bit disappointing, but I really like the Chargers. The Titans are the opposite of the Chargers. They're not the celebrity type. They have a great coach, Mike Vrabel, physical team. I don't know though. This is the type of problem. They've they can get horse raced, and I've seen this a couple times this year with Tennessee. They're gonna get like what I mean when I say that is they don't have the firepower when the team really has good offense with the defense. So I like the Chargers in this one to keep rolling. Chargers need to keep winning too if they want to go ahead and get in the playoffs. So we got the GOAT, Tom Brady, and the Bucks hosting Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Bengals right behind Baltimore in the standings, and can they go ahead and overtake the Ravens? Um, it's hard to say anything good about Tampa. um, I guess they're good enough to, but Brady's just not the same. Brady's just not the same. Funny enough, I think their defense has carried them a little bit this year, Tampa. I think they've kind of held teams down. I think that's what keeps us in this game. It's hard to go against Cincinnati the way they've looked the last few weeks. Cincinnati's offense is really, really good. They did lose Tyler Boyd, one of those three great receivers that they have, but I think they should be successful when going against Tampa. Tampa, you never really know. Some weeks they look okay. Also, too, when they have won, they haven't looked super impressive. They've they've kind of won close games at the end, which is fine. Um, they'll be in the playoffs. That division is terrible, but we'll see how this one goes, how close it is. But I like the Bengals. And here are two teams, I think, going in the opposite directions. The Giants are going against the Commanders in the nation's capital. Well, more like Landover, right out there at that great big stadium there. Uh, Commanders have really been rolling. I really like Heineke. I think I've said this before. They rally around him. That's what it looks like when they got a guy and they believe in somebody, and that's absolutely what it looks like. Terry McLaurin is outstanding receiver. Defense is really underrated. Washington's D line is fantastic. They really get a lot of push up front. I think there'll be too much. Giants just keep losing games now. Uh, Despite their early record, they kind of won some games early in the season. But I like not Command. I like the Giants in this one. I like what did I say? The Commanders. I keep wanting to say the Redskins, but that's not the name anymore. So, but the Commanders, I think, definitely win this game over the Giants. I'm not even sure it'll be close. The way the Redskins' offense has looked the last few weeks. There you go. So definitely dive a larger NFL content. Enjoy all the games, especially like we mentioned, the Ravens game is on Saturday. So this is normal when the college football season ends. That we have NFL games on Saturday. All right. So let's go to baseball. We are going to talk about the Orioles here. I did want to talk about this. The dollar amounts in baseball are exploding. That's the way to put it. You look at some of these numbers. This happened right after I recorded last week. Xander Bogaerts, 11 years, 280 million at shortstop. The Japanese player Masanaka Masataka Tanaka. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Yoshida, 5 years, 105. Played outfield for the Red Sox. Uh, a lot of Red Sox were mad too, even though they signed him because they lost Xander Bogaerts, who was like their captain. Brandon Nimmo, look at that, 8 years, 162. I had him as like a big drop off after Aaron Judge offensively. So that's a lot of money for a center fielder. Uh, Kodai Senga, the Mets, 5 years, 75 million. They're gonna add him in their rotation. Hopefully he can be. They're hoping he can be the next good Japanese pitcher. Kevin Klemmeyer for the Blue Jays also signed. I didn't have a dollar amount with him. Worth noting though, so many years, the heart and soul for the Rays. Now he's signed with the Blue Jays. Kind of like he took the place of like Evan Longoria. He was like the mainstay. They have a lot of turnover in Tampa, so he was like the mainstay. So a lot of money being spent around Major League Baseball. So definitely, I kind of maybe was hard on Michael Elias. I think last week, saying he might have miscalculated the market I think I did too. I did not see like a Brandon Nimmo 8 years, $162 million deal. I did not see that. Like, that's a lot of money for a guy for a center field. But this is what the market is. Baseball, there's no cap, and what you're seeing is even more so in baseball than in the NBA, where teams are more worried about the luxury tax, et cetera, et cetera. Baseball, they're not. The Mets, the Padres, the Yanks, they're just blowing through it. So we'll see what's going on. I did hear, I've heard several places. The Orioles are in on Carlos Rodon, who is, I think, the number one pitching free agent out there. He's better than any of the guys that signed, and he still hasn't signed yet. And I think we'll hear it about it in time. Especially if the Orioles do sign him, I will come back and do a live stream on that as well and go over that signing if that happens. Uh, I'll go ahead and do a live. Working a lot these days, so it may be in the car while I'm doing it, but I'll definitely be keeping up with it for you fans and getting that squared away. All right, I wanted to talk about this. So we are going to get to some Orioles business topics as well. And do the Orioles have an attendance problem? Um, Full disclosure, I went to my first game in about 9 years recently. I don't live in Baltimore anymore. I don't live that far away from Baltimore. I'm about two and a half. I'd say 2.5 hours from Camden. So, as full disclosure, I live about 2.5 hours from Camden. So, uh, I don't know. It's they don't have for years. They had They had the DC fans. You know, when I was there and things like that, before we had the Nationals in business, they had the DC fans. So it was very common that they would have Washington D.C. Market's a bigger market. It's a great place to. Downtown used to be a great place to hang out, and they had a lot of fans down there, and it was a good boom for them. Well, since the Nationals have been in business, and me living up here in Virginia, I know a lot of those Oriole fans that used to go to games, and they're Nats fans, and we go to Nats games, and so the Orioles attendance is pretty much 100% the Baltimore area, whatever you call that. Us Baltimoreans know the difference between the DMV and Baltimore. You know, us Baltimoreans never say that. like, um, unless they start saying in the last how many years I've been going. But it's the Baltimore area, the counties, Carroll County, Baltimore County, et cetera, et cetera. The DMV area, Maryland, Virginia. And when you say Maryland, that's not the Baltimore area. I'm talking about PG County, Montgomery County, etc. So, do they have a problem with their attendance? Absolutely. Look at the money that was just spent. That's kind of why I showed that. Uh, the Orioles' attendance figures are in the 20s in Major League Baseball. I think you could argue the whole league has a problem with attendance. And not just baseball, all sports, compared to years ago. Attendance figures are much lower than it was. The one reason they had Camden Yards is instead of Memorial Stadium, they dropped the attendance because of attendance figures in baseball used to be around 30,000 normally, give or take. You didn't need like a 50,000 seat plus 1,000 seat stadium. That's kind of why these multi-purpose stadiums kind of dried out. Baseball stadiums, you didn't need as many seats because you didn't draw as much on an everyday basis. You had about 30,000 on average. There aren't a lot of teams now even averaging that. So teams are down. The Orioles are down even further. What's the problem? The first problem and the second problem, and maybe even the third problem, is you're not winning. Up until this year, attendance, as far as winning games, is very, very important. You want to help your attendance? Win some baseball games. So that matters. Winning cures a lot. The only place I've ever seen where it doesn't help is Tampa, where they don't come anyway, even when they win. Almost every other team in any sport, like if teams win, your attendance is better. The only maybe if they're moving or something, like then it might drop in you, but like that's the only case I've ever seen. I'm pretty sure, and attendance was up because the team was better. So that's the first problem. You're not winning enough games to really drive attendance. So that's very important. Um, that's first, second problem. Uh, the second problem is the 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 downtown area is not the same. Uh, when Camden Yards opened, it was really a destination for a lot of people. I mean, we just mentioned DC and all the people going downtown. So it's really a destination. It's really not. I was really disappointed um, in the downtown area. I saw like when I went back to go to the Red Sox game. Tennis is the downtown area, Harbor Place. And again, I hadn't been there, so I had it. And I think I hear it over and over. I don't want to go downtown. 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 That's not just Baltimore. That's every city. People now are more in their houses, and I think that's the second thing. Begets the other thing I'm going to say about that is we change as a society as well in that sense. People don't go out as much. They don't hang out as much. They don't, people don't pop up and visit like they used to. So people like there's answer it this way. It used to be every Friday, Saturday night, young people they would just go out somewhere. Like that's not the reason. And people don't go out as much. Uh, and I think that's become a bit. I think some of that though is finances, which has changed habits. We don't have as much discretionary money, I think, as general, and so people don't go out as much. I think one is kind of getting the other. Tickets are very expensive. I I have a family of five. I mean, that was $160 just to get in the door. Uh, that's a lot of money. Um, so coupled with the fact that that people don't go out as much, and I think that's it. What can the Orioles do? I don't see them pounding the pavement enough. You got to get out here and start doing things to make people want to come. Um, I'm a content creator, a small content creator on YouTube channel. You, I think me of all people, and a lot of people like me, like you got to do that all the time. Like Ravery Sports, you got to mention it. I'm sending posts. And so you got. I don't see the Orioles kind of do those things. They kind of just uh, they don't do enough in the community, in my opinion. I think to actually drive the attendance as well. That's very important, um, especially in a community like Baltimore. So you got to get the passion of the people in. But the biggest problem, I think, is the winning. Can you consistently put a winning product on the field and actually get your attendance figures and everything up? Because these numbers are crazy. And I keep saying the Orioles can't afford to do that because they can't afford to do that. The comp I was hoping for with the Orioles, now that they're coming out of the rebuild, was the Padres. They signed Manny Machado years ago. They had Tatis. They had this great young system. So what that means is, okay, I think that's what a lot of us were hoping for. Now they went past what I was hoping for. But you go ahead and you sign those good veteran players once your minor league system is all squared away. So we're still kind of waiting. Um, Carlos Rodon signs. That's a big indicator of of progress. But I think to get the fans to come out, you have to put the winning product on the field. And but I do think some of it is this is uh, part of a new normal. I don't know if we're gonna ever have 50,000 people at a game or sold out games at a game anymore. But if you want to get better players, fans have to understand you got to support the product. You got to support it financially. and that's buying tickets, et cetera, et cetera. And we're in a new era. We'll see how that can get fixed. But uh, I think you got to the organizations on the organizational side got to fix the winning, got to win some more games, and you have to go and fix the you got to pound the payment a little bit. I don't think they pound the payment nearly enough for a team with bad attendance, and the Angelos family saying they're so committed to having their pound the payment. Have some carnivals, have some things that community, have some more. Here we are in the off season. I'm talking about it, but get out there and draw some attendance. It's and this is and again not just the Orioles, but like Adley should be everywhere, man. Adley should be out here right now doing interviews and things like that. I'm just using him as example because he's probably your best player. That's the things they can do to bring up the attendance, and you start bringing up the attendance, and you get more interest in the fans, and you can maybe go ahead and get some of these players we're seeing with all this money. Maybe you don't do as well as the Mets, but you could do a little more. Okay, so let's see. Maybe they are already signing players, but we definitely like to see the attendance go up at Camden Yards, which is now going to go into its 31st season. All right, so thank you very much for watching us on our main stream this week. So next week, we're going to go ahead and get squared away. We are going to go ahead next week and talk about the Ravens and the Browns. We're going to go into the graphic here. Not Navy. There we go. So we are going to talk about the Ravens and the Browns there. And also the Falcons. So that game is on Christmas Eve. And so we're going to go ahead and preview that one. So the Falcons are going to go ahead and be playing the Ravens there as well. So we're going to go ahead and check that out. Also, too, we're going to talk for the first time about the Terps basketball. So you want to talk about another sport with attendance problem? My goodness, college basketball. Stop having neutral site games. I was checking it out on Christmas. Even the Tar Heels and the Blue Devils were playing in a neutral site against two local teams, and there was flies and relatives in the arena. So stay on campus, college basketball. And the Terps have a really good team, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And Orioles topic next week, what changes are going to be made to the depth chart? So we'll have like a preliminary depth chart now. We're kind of through free agency a bit. What is it going to look like going forward? Okay? All right, so thank you very much for watching. Thank you for taking time to watch with us this week on our main stream. And definitely check us out on all of our social media platforms. And we'll definitely be letting you know soon about the website. All right, thank you very much. You have a great day.